There is a new wave of madness that's currently ongoing in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, especially in Igboland, in which almost everybody wants to have an American baby. People in the working class, whether they have the resources or not, especially if they have relations abroad, they do everything they can to scratch up money and go and have their babies in America. Most times when I discuss with these people, they usually say they want the child to have a better life, to have better opportunities and all those nonsense. But brothers and sisters, we have no idea the implication of this thing we are doing. We don't know that when we do this, when we go to America or Canada or any of the Western countries to have our babies, we are literally handing over the continent to them. We are literally signing out the land we have as a continent, not only Igboland but Africa as a continent. We are handing it over to their government. Today, let's discuss this. So the United States, they do this program whereby if you're born on their soil, you are their citizen. And they also do what they call a diversity visa, in which they do a lottery, and those who win the lottery go there and become citizen. Also, Canada also does the same thing, in which if you're born on the soil, you're a citizen, and you can equally live there for about 4 years and you become a citizen. And the rush for this has never been higher, especially in Igboland. The rush for this US citizenship, Canadian citizenship, is extremely high in Igboland and in Yorubaland as well. In fact, mostly in southern Nigeria. We are just madly rushing for this. But have we taken a step to think about the consequence of what we are doing? Let me draw you a map, brothers and sisters. Let me show you that while as we go there to have our American babies, we are literally handing over our continent to these entities. Let me explain it to you. You see, the United States, for instance, they do not recognize dual citizens. So what that means is that as you are if you are a US citizen, you are a property of the United States government. That's what it means. What that means is this, is that anything you own, 40% of it belongs to the government as tax, or as anything, at least 40% of it is taxed to the government. When you get of age, you are supposed to be paying tax to the government, whether you live in the United States or not, whether you are working in the United States or not, it does not matter. Now, those of us who are from Africa, our fathers have fought to have the possessions that we now enjoy. The land, the Igbo land we have today, is a product of the blood and the sweat and the tears of our ancestors, which they left behind for us to inherit. And then we are supposed to also leave it behind for our children to inherit. However, if you go and have your child in the US and your child is a United States citizen, if your child inherits their land here in Africa, that land belongs to the United States government. Because by law, anything a citizen owns belongs to the government. If that citizen dies, they pay an estate tax to the government. Every year, the citizen is supposed to pay tax of whatever he owns to the government. And if that citizen does not pay, eventually the government can take that. There's a law in the US that they call the power of eminent domain, in which the United States government can take your property, irrespective of where your property is. Let's assume that your property is somewhere in Abombise. The government can take it if you are their citizen. I don't know if I'm very clear, brothers and sisters. I don't know if I've made myself clear. Do you see how we are literally handing over our continent to some Europeans in the name of US baby, American baby? Because our children will inherit the properties we own today. They will inherit it. We are not going to live on this planet forever. We will die one day, each and every one of us. And our children will inherit it. But if all our children are citizens of America, that means the United States government owns they have a legal claim to our land. Brothers and sisters, I want to ask you a question. Why do you think the US is doing this visa lottery thing every year? Why do you think they open their borders? Anybody, once a woman comes to the airport with big belly, oh, come and board. In fact, some years ago, like 10 years ago, you don't even need to have the money. Once you're pregnant, they take you to the hospital, you deliver, you can even pay, you can even not pay, and you run. Do you think they're stupid? Why do you think they're doing it? Why do you think they see African women coming every day and they just let them walk in, whether you have the resources to even pay for the baby? No. Why do you think they do this thing? Has any one of our brothers and sisters that go abroad that do these things, have you ever asked yourself why? It's about land, brothers and sisters. It has nothing to do. It's just about land. The United States does not need to conquer Africa to own Africa. They don't need to. All they need to do is to make Africans their citizen, and they own African land, because the Africans inherit their land from their ancestors. And when those who inherit those lands become citizens, that means the government now owns their property. It's a very simple thing. And that's what's currently going on. You see, if you go to Canada today, the people they call First Nations, the Native Americans or whatever, they are gradually being exterminated because they have already taken their land. So they don't need them to be around anymore. Even the former Canadian Prime Minister said he doesn't really care much about their plight. The same thing is happening in the US. The Native Americans, they're gradually being exterminated. Why? Because they have already taken their land. So now, what is happening is that Africans, the door is wide open for Africans to come in and be citizens. And before you know it, more than 50% of Africans will be American or Canadian citizens. And that means they own the whole Africa. They don't need to conquer you to own your continent. Because if you are a citizen of the nation, you are supposed to be paying a certain amount of tax annually. And when there are most Nigerians today, the American citizens, they are not paying that. First of all, they will lock them up. First of all, okay, and then whatever they inherit from their ancestors here in Africa belongs to the government. That's a legal claim to it. So, brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters that are rushing to have this American baby, do they know this? Do they ask themselves this question? You see, what I have seen is that most times when people go to have their babies in America, they say they want to give the child a better life. Is it really a better life? Let's look at this better life thing. There is no free education in the United States. Well, the primary level is free, but you are still going to pay a huge amount of tax. You can't go to school anywhere you want to. There are school districts, so you can't just go to any kind of school you want. The schools are very expensive. The universities are very, very expensive. Even to go there and give birth. I was discussing with someone some time ago, who went there to give birth. He told me that he paid over $6,000 as hospital bill for natural birth. Not even operation, not even cesarean operation, natural birth, $6,000. Brothers and sisters, $6,000 is more than 2 million naira. That is what you are going to pay to give birth to have a baby that you can easily have at home for free. People can, some midwife can even walk in and have it. If that person, I was asking him that, if you have Nigerian midwives now deliver your baby, will you pay them 2 million naira? He said no. Then why are you paying white people that? This is the kind of person that if Nigerian midwives deliver his baby, he will be paying them maybe, I don't know, 20,000 naira. But he was willing to pay $6,000 to have a baby in the United States. We don't really think through these things, and it's unfortunate. Unfortunately for us in Igboland, our brothers and sisters that are living abroad, they help to perpetuate this stupidity. They help to perpetuate this madness. You will see an Igbo person who lives in America. When he comes back, he'll be behaving as if he just came from heaven, and the rest of us who are in Nigeria, that we are living somewhere in hell. You see somebody who will go to the UK to do his masters for only 1 year, and his accent will change, his conduct will change, just for staying in the UK for 1 year doing masters. So we have this kind of inferiority complex in which whenever we travel abroad, or when we see someone who has traveled abroad anywhere, we see the person as if they just came from heaven and we're in hell. We have zero pride in our homeland. Zero. And that's why we are massively migrating to go and have baby abroad without thinking of the consequences, without realizing that we are handing over our continent to these people who want to see us dead. They literally want to see us dead. This is what we're doing, brothers and sisters. This is exactly what we are doing. Now, most parents that I have discussed with, and I've discussed with a lot of parents, a lot of them, what they tell me is that they want the child to have a better life. So let's look at it. Is it really a better life in the US? Look, I'm not trying to undermine the US here, okay? I'm not trying to undermine it. I've not been to the US, but I've seen videos, I've seen movies, I've seen things on the internet, and the country looks nice. It looks like they have very nice roads. Like, it looks like they have electricity, constant electricity, water. It looks like those things are there. And so what? We also have roads and electricity here in Nigeria. What value does that add? Are the people in the US happier than people in Nigeria? I don't really think so. Nigerians are far happier than they are. The fact that those things are available in the US does not mean that those things are available for everyone. There are poor people in the US, extremely poor people in the US. In fact, brothers and sisters, do you know that there are more homeless people in the US than there are in Nigeria? Even if you normalize for the population difference, the United States is about, Nigeria is about 50% of the United States population, about 45 to 50% of the United States population. If you normalize for the population difference, there are more homeless people in the United States of America than there are in Nigeria. How can that be a better life for your child? Statistically, that's not a better life for your child. With all their skyscrapers, they still have more homeless people than we do. What does that tell you of the place that we are every day streaming to take our children to be part of? Why are we not looking at the damage we are doing to our continent by raising our children to be this. I also discussed with a number of parents who have done this, and what they say is that this country, usually when you discuss with them, and you can ask anybody who has gone to the US to have their baby, they will tell you, oh, this country is so unstable, you don't know what's going to happen, you just want to give your child an option, it's something that's not working fine here, they can go somewhere else. And before you know, they'll give you an example of Chimamanda and Jidenna and Okonjo-Iweala, all those people, as if those are the only people we have in Igboland. First of all, brothers and sisters, do you see that we are training our children to be coward? Do you see why Africa is still messed up? Do you see why Igboland continues to be ruled by governors like the one we have in Imo State? Because we are training our children to run away when they go and get tough. That's what we are doing. You see, 50 years ago, when the Biafra war was about to start, Igbos all over the world were going back home to defend their homeland. Today, we are training our children with the expectation that if anything, if Wahala starts, they can run away from their homeland. We are training our children to be cowards. Now, I want to ask you a question, brothers and sisters. Please pay attention. Have you noticed that Hausa people do not have American babies? Have you noticed that Hausas and Fulanis, they don't go to have American babies? Even the rich ones among them, they don't go to have American babies. They have their babies here. They train their children that this is their land. They either live here or die here. But we train our children that if they go and get stuff, they should run to America. And tomorrow we wonder why our Igboland is being taken over. We wonder why the Northerners are invading Igboland today. Because we are training our children to be cowards. We are not training them to letting them know that this land came from our forefathers to us, and we have to give it to our grandchildren. That nothing happens. We are going to stay here. We are going to either be alive here or we're going to die here. Anybody that's going to take this land is going to pry it from our dead, cold hands. We don't train our children to be like that. Instead, we train them that if anything goes wrong, they should run to America. But we don't know that Americans are not stupid. They know what they're doing. They know that the more citizens they get from all over the world, the more properties they own, the more land they own. This is about land, brothers and sisters. It's about land. That's what it is. So we are literally handing over Africa to these entities on a platter of gold. In the future, they will lay claim to these lands, to the land that their citizens own in Africa, which is a lot of the land. Because those of us who are rich enough to send our children abroad, they are the ones that own a lot of land in Africa. So that means the United States already owns, if not 40 or 50% of Africa as we speak. Why don't we see this? How hard is it for people to know the damage we are doing? Brothers and sisters, I will never take part in anything that will destroy the land of my ancestors. And none of you should do that. None of you. You see, I've seen most parents that rush to go and have their babies abroad, and they say they have to do it now because you never know when the US will cancel it or when they will stop having it, as if it's an opportunity that once it's gone, it's gone. You see, brothers and sisters, let me tell you one thing. The United States is never going to stop doing this thing. Even if they stop, they will only stop when they know that they've owned over 70% of Africa through their citizenship. That's when they will stop. Do you know how much money they are making from the people that even apply for the diversity lottery every year? Do you know how much money that is? They're never going to stop this. See, the United States is a country that they will let you come in, but they will never let you go out. Do you know how hard it is to renounce your American citizenship? It's the toughest country to get out of. Forget these things that people they are demonstrating, saying go back to Africa, go back to Africa. No, they will never let you go anywhere. They need you there because you are the labor that will develop their economy. That's why they need you there. And unfortunately, we are just handing ourselves over to them free of charge instead of making them work for it. It's far easier to pull your own teeth with a set of pliers than to renounce your American citizenship. It's far, far easier. If you don't believe me, go and find out. So, most of you that are thinking, no, no, if tomorrow, even if you are American citizenship, tomorrow you can renounce it and not pay the tax. No. Tomorrow, if they find out that you're not paying the tax, you're going to jail. And even if you try to renounce it, it's far easier for you to pull your teeth than for you to renounce that citizenship. Go and find out for those who have tried. Brothers and sisters, let us give this another thought. First of all, Hausa people, Fulani people, they are not going to have their babies in America. The people in northern Nigeria, they don't care about American babies. So why are we doing this? Do they know something we don't know? Have we considered the psychology of our children vis-a-vis their own children in the future? Now, another thing we have to know, brothers and sisters, and I must say this here, having your child abroad, having your child as an American citizen or any of the Western countries increases the chance of your child being gay. I must say this here. There are so many Nigerians today that their children are gay abroad. There are so many of them. And they are just hiding it. I know families that are hiding this thing. Their children are gay abroad. You will see your child, a child that you gave birth to, you saw that this is a man. You saw him clearly. This is a man. Tomorrow in America, he'll tell you he's no longer a man. He's now a transgender. He's no longer John. He's now Janet. This is abomination. Hello, this is what we expose our children to by having them there, making them citizens of a land where they don't have such evil values. All in the name of a better life. Also, brothers and sisters, the United States, for instance, and the Western countries are always at war. Having a child abroad increases the chance of them being drafted in the military. There are people today, there are Igbo people, there are Nigerians today that are fighting in the US military. In fact, there's one, somebody sent me something on WhatsApp. They said that the UK military is recruiting people from Africa, from the Commonwealth nations, that this is a wonderful opportunity, we should take advantage of it. Brothers and sisters, I won't lie to you, that night I wept, I cried. Because what is wrong with us? This is somebody who is educated and a very rich man, an Igbo man, saying that we should take advantage of joining the UK military. Are you kidding me? The UK, the English people who came here, murdered, robbed, pillaged, destroyed your ancestor. Today, you want to go and join them and fight another people who have done nothing to you. You want to go and join their military and deploy in Iraq or Afghanistan or in the Middle East or anywhere else and start killing people that have done nothing to you, and you think that is a good idea. What is wrong with us? What is happening to us? There are Igbos today that are fighting in this military, fighting people that have done nothing to them. There are Igbos that are fighting in Israeli military for nothing, killing people that have done nothing to them. So, brothers and sisters, like I said, unfortunately for us, our brothers and sisters that are abroad, they help to perpetuate this madness. They help to perpetuate this stupidity. In that if they're living in America, when they come back, they'll be looking at people in the village as if we are living in hell. And meanwhile, they themselves, they are just going through hell there. I know a lot of people there who live there, and when they are candid enough to tell you, they're just going through hell. If they have a way of coming back, they'll come back. But when they try to form, they try to behave as if the rest of us who are living here in Nigeria, we're living in hell. And that's how they perpetuate this one-directional flow of our people to Western countries. And our people do everything they can to go to Western countries as if that's where salvation is. Brothers and sisters, I've told you why they do what they do. Why they do this visa lottery thing. Why they do this come and deliver and become a citizen kind of thing. They are not doing it to provide an opportunity for you. They are not doing it to provide a better life for your children. They are doing it to own your land, to own your continent. That's what it's about. It's about land ownership by law. That's what it's about. How if think about it? How come if they're really opening doors for the Africans to come in, why are they not treating the African Americans there better? Why are they not treating the Native Americans better? Why are they not treating the people they call First Nations, or what the Australians call Aboriginals? Why are they not treating them better? Because they've already taken their land. They don't need them anymore. It's you that live on the continent. It's your land they're aiming for. And when they get it, they gradually move into exterminate you. You can believe it if you want. You don't have to believe it if you don't want. I've said it and I'll keep saying it. Brothers and sisters, and again, it makes me happy. There are people who don't do this. I know a man whose relation live in the US, and they asked him to bring his wife to have a baby in America. He told them no. He didn't. He not only, according to him, he said he not only told them no. He told them, hell no. All my children will be born in Igboland. All of them will be Igbos. So there are people who are not doing this. When I see them, I feel encouraged. And I thank God for those people, because they know that doing these things, going to have our baby there, we are diluting our culture, we are destroying our continent, and more importantly, we are handing over our land to them on a platter of gold. They know that. I know a man whose child went there to do a PhD. I think if you do a PhD, they'll give you a green card or something like that because of your research. So his son did a PhD, and he was supposed to sign for the green card or something for the. I think he was supposed to sign something anyway for the social security or something. Well, and he said when he read it, and it says that he, as the father of the child, will relinquish his authority on the child and sign the child over as a citizen of the United States government. Something to that effect. And he told them that he's not signing. He refused to sign it. Of course, his wife and his child did not like him after that, but at the end of the day, he stood his ground. He's not signing that. He's not giving away his child. So you may think you are doing your child a favor. No, you're not. You might as well go and give your child to Madonna or to Kim Kardashian to adopt. You are handing your child over to an external entity when you have them there. When your child has a social security number, he is not your property. He's not your child. The government can take him away from you at any time. If you don't know that, ignorance is not an excuse. You've been told, and you better know that. The earlier you guys know that, the better for our continent. May the Most High bless you. Salam.